Hi, welcome to another video. It's been a bit of a chaotic time. I meant to film this like days ago and it just didn't happen, but welcome to another video. It is my April TBR. So I actually filmed my drawers for this this month's Bookopoly deal while April was visiting, which if you'll check out my vlogs, which hopefully I'll have up in a reasonable time, but it's kind of been chaotic so I haven't had time to edit anything at the moment. But if it all comes up in a reasonable time, you'll see that April's been visiting me, or was visiting me for like a week. Last week, she left a couple of days ago, and we filmed the Bookopoly deal drawer component of this and picked up my TBR about a week ago. But this is my first chance I've had to sit down and chat through it with you, so we're going to be talking through it today. Sounds great, right? So if you haven't been paying attention to my previous TBRs this year, I've been playing Bookopoly Deal, which is a Monopoly deal based TBR game. So it's playing your TBR based on Monopoly Deal. So each month we've been playing Bookopoly Deal to pick my TBR, and the whole goal of Monopoly Deal is to get 3 property sets. That's how you win. It's a pretty fast-paced Monopoly game, and for the purposes of my TBR, instead we were getting to 1 property set, and every property card, everything that comes out, counts towards potential prompts. If you follow along, you'll probably be learning new stuff every time because I'm not explaining every single card until I draw it out. But here's what happened. Also, if you want to check out another game of Bookopoly Deal, April played Bookopoly Deal for her upcoming TBR for April as well. And once her video is up, I will link it. Whichever one comes first. It should be linked down below if both are up. So here we go. Let's jump into the Bookopoly Deal draws. It is. What month are we going into? Shit. Going into April! Okay. And last month I only had 3 things. So we're going to try and get more than 3 things this time. Oh. We have Trafalgar Square. Apparently I'm running out of batteries, so we're going to do this quick. Next up we drew Trafalgar Square, which is a romance pick. And for this I'm going to read The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Danan. This comes out in April. I'll be reading it on my Kindle. I'm very excited to read it. By Kindle I mean my iPad, but on my Kindle app. This is the sequel to The Roommate, which I loved and enjoyed earlier in the year. I think in January I read The Roommate and I absolutely adored it, so I'm really excited to read The Intimacy Experiment. I wish I could get my hands on the pre-order incentive, but it's not available outside of America. Yay, thanks. So the Intimacy Experiment is about a secondary character from The Roommate. Why am I blanking on her name? Natasha or something like that? Anyway, the main character works in the porn industry, and then but she's always been like, we have non-intimate relationships. We don't do intimacy, and I believe this is her like finding someone. Why is my white balance all over the place? Finding someone to be like intimate and have more than just sex with, I think. I have a wild property, absolutely anything, which means I can do whatever I want. Next up I drew the ultimate wild card, which means I get a free pick for whatever I want. At this point, I left this till last when I was picking what I was going to put in them, so keep that in mind. But I had a lot of physical books on my TBR and I didn't really have any audiobooks yet. So I picked out an audiobook which I already had out from my library. I was just waiting. Hello Mika. I was just waiting to pick it up. And that is People Like Her by, what is the author's name? Ellery Lloyd. This is adult fiction about I believe the woman is like pretending on social media to have a particular lifestyle on Instagram, and then in reality her life is like not like that, and it's a thrillery adult fiction. ladies, can you please behave? So I'm really excited about this. I'm not sure what I'm going to think of it, but I have it out on audiobook and I'm hoping to really enjoy it. Money. Regent Street. Next up we do Regent Street, which is a digital middle grade. This is another book I have out for my library, and I was trying to get around to reading it in March and it never happened. And that is The World Between Blinks by Amy Kaufman and Ryan Graudin. This is obviously in middle grade. I have it in a digital form, which was the prompt, and I don't know much about the actual plot of this, but I like a lot of Amy Kaufman's other work and I really wanted to get into Ryan Graudin, but just never quite got there. So this is something that I'm interested in. If I really enjoy it, I might pick up a physical copy afterwards, but this is it. I know literally almost nothing about the plot, but I like middle grades generally. It looks like a fun adventure story. I hope I enjoy it. Oh, I have a wild card, red or yellow. And finally we had a red-yellow wild card. So this is something that's either other genre or contemporary. I guess this kind of is like a contemporary other. Seeing as it's a pretty contemporary leaning, but I think it's got elements of some magical realism components. And that is Miss Meteor by Taylor K. Mahia and Anna Marie McLemore. And so this is following Chicky and Lita in a beauty pageant, and there's some little magical things happening. The other reason I picked this for this category, for this card, is that the Books and Lala's buzzword reading challenge for April is something with a galaxy term, so meteor ties right in. And I have had this on my TBR. I've been wanting to read it for quite a while. I love basically everything Anna Marie McLemore writes. I've liked everything that Taylor K. Mahia has written. I don't think I've read her middle grade yet, but all her older stuff I have. So I think I will really enjoy this, and it just seemed like the perfect fit. So it's contemporary, but a little bit other as well, so it kind of perfectly fits the vibe card. I have Park Lane. Then I drew out Park Lane, which is a Kindle pick, and for that I'm going to be reading Fireheart Tiger by Elliot de Bourdad. This is a, I presume, Vietnamese fantasy, because I believe Elliot is Vietnamese, and it is based upon mythology. I think it's meant to be a Robin Hood meets, I did read this somewhere. So it's the description here is the Goblin Emperor meets Howl's Moving Castle, but I've heard it is literally like a comp of two major like mythology kind of stuff. It's queer primarily. I can't see now. I can't remember where I saw it. Something like a Robin Hood meets something Vietnamese that I can't remember the name of. I can't remember the exact comp of the two, but this is a fantasy that's queer. It's a novella, so it's going to be pretty short and easy to get through. I've been eyeing it off for a while. I know Fadwa really loved it. I know a bunch of people really loved it, to be honest, but why is Fadwa always the one whose recommendations stick in my head? But so many people really loved it, and I can't wait to read it. I've got it on my Kindle and I'm going to be reading it this month, so that's my Kindle pick. A wild card, orange and purple. Then I drew out another wild card. Why didn't I write down? I didn't write down what colors this was, but you would have just seen it come up. So this is either an adult speculative fiction or a YA speculative fiction, and a book I've been really wanting to get onto this TBR because my friend KJ and I are going to read it together, hopefully, if KJ fits it on her TBR. That is Curse of the Divine by Kim Smejkal. This is the sequel to Ink in the Blood. I hauled this and she was like, KJ was like, oh my god, I can't believe anyone else has read Ink in the Blood. I loved it so much. I was like, me too. So we're gonna read Curse of the Divine this month. It's a tattoo fantasy, and it was very dramatic and angsty, book one, and it's only a duology, so I'm really excited to see where that kind of goes and wraps up in book two. I think it will be really good. I really enjoyed book one, so I'm excited. An actual purple. Next up we drew out Pall Mall, which is an adult high fantasy, and for that I picked out The Name of All Things by Jen Lyons. This is the second book in the Chorus of Dragons series. The first one was The Ruin of Kings. And I know the third book is currently sitting at my bookstore in this same tall format, but the fourth book comes out soon, so it'll drop to a smaller format. And I really was like eyeing this off to try and get this on my TBR so that I would have a chance to like get the third book before it dropped to small format, but so we did. This is a series that follows like multiple points of view. It had a complex timeline issue going on in book one, which a lot of people didn't like, but I really enjoyed. And I can't wait to see where book two goes. I believe the main character ends up in a polyamorous triad in book two. But I'm really excited to see where the plot goes from where book one ended off. I really enjoyed book one. I read it almost like a year and a half ago now, and I'm really excited to see what I think of this. It's adult high fantasy, there's dragons, it's complicated, it's pretty complicated, but I really enjoyed it, so I can't wait to read book two. A wild card, green or blue, which gets us our final set because we have a blue, and blue only has two. Okay, and we have one cash. Mine are always really simple, I swear. Look at how boring this lineup is. April's is insane. And this is very straightforward. Ta-da! So my first draw was a wild card dark blue green, which is either a Kindle pick or a TBR vet is dark blue, and middle grade is green. So I can pick from any of those categories. And for that I ended up picking something that kind of fulfills multiple categories, which is Ian Colfer's Artemis Fowl book 4, The Opal Deception. And this is a TBR vet, so technically it is a reread, but I have literally almost no memory of what happens on this book, which is why I'm rereading it. It is from my TBR vet section, but it's also a middle grade, so it kind of fulfills both ends of that wild card, which I kind of like doing if I can make happen, but it doesn't always happen. But that is my first Bookopoly deal pick. So these four plus the like bunch of stuff that I don't have a physical copy of are my Bookopoly deal picks. But if you know me, I also like to make sure I have a certain amount of things from every category on my bookshelf picked out. I don't always read them, but I pick them out. So I did these off camera because I forgot to turn the camera back on when I was chatting with April, and we just drew them all out of my jars. But so what was the first category we needed? We had a TBR vet, which is the first category. We had we didn't have anything from my 2019 backlist purchases, so that was the first jar I drew out. And for that we had an Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This is a young adult fantasy. I really enjoyed Sorcery of Thorns by her, and I think I really enjoyed this. It's pretty short, like barely 300 pages. Hopeful to get to this one. This is probably one of the highest priority of these extra ones. Like I think I'll try to get to this one first. And I think I will really enjoy it, though apparently it's got pretty different vibes from Sorcery of Thorns, so some people didn't like it. We'll see if I like it or not. It's fantasy with fae. Then the 2020 backlist, I also didn't pick anything out from that section for the Bookopoly deal TBR, so we drew something from the jar for that. And I picked out A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. If you saw last month's TBR, I also drew out something by Jessica Cluess for that TBR, and I talked about how I don't want to support Jessica Cluess because she keeps being very insensitive on Twitter, but I really think this is the one with the plot that like I think I will really love. The other one I ended up DNFing. I didn't hate it, but I didn't feel compelled enough to keep going, especially knowing the author stuff. And I think I will do kind of the same thing with this, where I will see what I think. But this one is set in Victorian London, and that appeals to me a lot more than the other one did. So I think I could really like this, but we'll see. I'm gonna treat it with a grain of salt. We'll see if I even get to it, but if I get to it, I'll probably like try it a little bit and see if I won't push myself to finish. I'll be quick to DNF this. We'll see. Then we had drawn one thing from my 2019 new releases section, which was this, but we normally draw two from that section. So we drew another one and picked out The Raven Tower by Anne Leckie, which is a sapphic, I mean, it's definitely queer, but I can't remember exactly if it's sapphic or trans or what's going on. Fantasy. Normally Anne Leckie's really well known in the sci-fi community, but this is her first fantasy. And I do want to try it, but I'm not sure if I'm going to end up getting to it this month. It's like lower on my priority list. But the text is pretty big, so it could happen pretty quick. So we'll see how I go, but this is my pick for that section. And then we drawn out one thing from my 2020 new releases, so we drew out 2 more from the jar. And those were True Life by J. Kristoff, which is the third and final book in the Lifelike series. I do want to just finish off this series and get it done, so we might try and get to this. We'll see how I go during the month, but there's that one. That's a sci-fi dystopian-y kind of story. And the other one I drew out, which I'm really excited to get to, and I think I'll try and prioritize this as well, is KV, which is Vicious Spirits by Cacho. This is the companion novel to, what was it called? What was it called? Why am I forgetting? Wicked Fox, Gumiho Wicked Fox, which I really enjoyed. I listened to it half on audiobook, and I might try and do the same with this, like listen along. We'll see. But April also has this on her TBR, so we might buddy read this. Maybe. We'll see. At least I think she has it on her TBR, unless she's changed her mind. But I am really excited for this. It follows the side characters from Wicked Fox, so I'm very excited. So those are all the books that I'm gonna try and prioritize in the month, though there are other things coming out that I've already purchased this year which may switch in for some of these, like maybe this might not get read, but we'll read some other stuff. We'll see. But the Bookopoly Deal stuff is set in stone. I have to read those. That's kind of how this game works. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed this TBR. If you're reading any of these, let me know down below, or if you've read any of them, let me know your vague non-spoilery thoughts. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in another video. Bye.